Yeah, it's like, man, I just got my hair cut and I'm already like, yeah, you know, every time I get to a point where, oh, I feel good, it looks good, then I'm just like ready to cut it, get it short. Not like, I don't have to do a buzz cut, but just get it cut shorter again. It would demonstrate the truth on this whole rosemary oil thing. Now that, because I last had it short in October, and then when I say short, I mean like 1.5 inches on top and like on a 2 on the sides and the back. And that was the last time I had it that short. But then I started doing the rosemary like on Christmas Day. So we haven't seen my hair short since using rosemary. But I'm getting ready to want to cut it shorter, at least like I had it back in October. Not because of the rosemary oil experiment, because ultimately it's just work. I don't like having to think about this. And maybe if with shorter hair it would stay in place better because I'd be using pomade again. But with this, and then if I use pomade with this, I think it might reveal the thinning more, like that. But what I really want to talk about today in this video is Tom Petty. You know, I'm a Bruce Springsteen fan. I pointed that out a couple weeks ago. And I would have to think if there was a Venn diagram of Tom Petty fans and Bruce Springsteen, there'd probably be at least a 50% overlap. That's what I would think. I'm definitely the epitome of that overlap with the Venn diagram of Bruce Springsteen and Tom Petty. So on Netflix, there is a 3-hour, 58-minute documentary on Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. So I'm halfway through it. And as I was watching it last night, I was looking at Tom Petty. I've always been aware of his hair situation as far as he's not bald, but if I had to speculate where he is on Norwood, I would say a late 3. That would be my guess. I know his forehead goes back quite a ways over here, but he's still got enough to part it, and he just has it long. So I don't know. I'm not a Norwood expert, but my guess is late 3. Maybe he's only as bad as I am. Or maybe I'm even worse than him. I don't know. Maybe if I grew my hair down to here too, I would look like his hairstyle. But it's interesting because the documentary that's, again, about 4 hours long, it spans all the way from basically about 1975, 1976 up until I think 2008. What you see is he kind of looks the same for the most part through all of those decades. His hair is pretty much the same. And he didn't really seem to lose any hair for the most part from the time he was in his 20s until the time he was in his 50s or early 60s. And so he might be an example of someone who had a lot of maturing and got all the way to something like this, and then he just stopped. You know, and we've talked about that before, that, you know, I could easily go into Norwood 4 by the time I'm 40. And I expect it to happen about the time I'm 40. That's what I expect. But then it's like Tom Petty didn't go bald, but he's just always kind of been that Norwood 3, and he's always kept his long hair, which fits his whole image and fits everything he stands for. But I was thinking about that, and it's like, not that, and I wouldn't be the kind of guy that would keep long hair my whole life, but I'm imagining what it must be for Tom Petty, who I have so much respect for. I love not only his music, but I just love the fact that he's a true rebel in rock and roll music and always has been. As far as like what he's done for the copyrights, the royalties for songwriters, what he did in the 70s, the way he had some influence on the prices of albums in the late 70s. It's very interesting, and I've always been aware of that about Tom Petty. He's more than just a rock star. He's someone I have a lot of respect for. A very intriguing man. But anyway, I was just thinking, man, what if you had to do that though? What if you had to keep that long hair just basically to override the fact that you've probably got something like this going on? I mean, because his hair, like, it's parted in the middle, and it's probably this long or whatever. So it's like it's longer than his face. It just kind of comes down here like this, almost like a Keith Urban situation, which I don't know Keith Urban's exact situation. By the way, he lives only like 18 miles that way. I'm in Franklin, and his home is just down that way. But anyway, Tom Petty, yeah, so, you know, if I had hair like that, I guess that would But what a hassle it would be to have that hair. I mean, and it just goes back to what I used to say when I had the buzz cut. It's just so much freedom and so much less hassle when you don't have to think about that stuff anymore. But you know, and that's the thing with me. Like, I alternated between hairstyles throughout every year, and I've always done that. But like, I can't imagine keeping the same hairstyle like your entire life. Like, pretty much since he was in his 20s, he's had the same hairstyle, and it's long, and that's just I would not like that. Which kind of goes back to what I was saying, was it yesterday, about having curly hair? Because curly hair just kind of stays there, but when you have hair that's straight or wavy or whatever, it can move. But if you're losing your hair, then you put certain pomades in it. Like I said, it can amplify the thinning effect. It's just every reason to ultimately want me to buzz my hair. But again, I can't for various reasons, and I think for right now, it's very possible that the next haircut I get in about a month, that I'll have, like I said, the shorter hairstyle, and that'd be actually basically right before my 36th birthday. So maybe that's what I'll do. That's what's going through my head. But this, I've always thought that about Tom Petty. Like, he gets away with his hairstyle covering up his hair loss, but yet he's not going bald. And he's in his 60s now, and he's an example of someone who can lose a decent amount of hair young, but then it just kind of stops. Whereas for me, mine appears to keep going, but I just have the appearance that it's not so bad because of the rosemary. All right, those are my thoughts. Tom Petty. Tom Petty is great.